Hello, Lewis. Today is Wednesday, November 13th, 2024. I'm here to share my thoughts and opinions on the incoming Trump administration's policies and what are all the things that we could potentially see and what are all the big ticket items that Trump is planning to implement and the pros and cons on each one of them. As a part of that, today I would like to discuss about the Trump proposed tariffs. So, during the campaign, whenever the reporters and others asked Donald Trump specific questions on how he is going to generate revenue to pay for his tax cuts or to pay for his other programs, he always came back with one simple answer, which is he said he's going to impose tariffs and then he's going to generate revenue through tariffs, and that's his only plan. In fact, it is a signature plan to generate revenue. So I would like to look at what are tariffs, how will it work, and whether it is a viable option at this point of time and in this modern era. So generally, how does tariff work? So tariffs are basically imposed on imports. So let's say USA imports something from China, and if the cost of the product is, let's say, $10, if we impose 20% tariff on that product, the company that imports it in the US has to pay that $2 extra to get that product from China. So the $2 goes towards the government. That's true. But the company that's actually buying the product in the USA from China or any other country that they're importing from, they need to pay the additional $2. So instead of a company paying $10 without tariff, they will be paying $12. So if it is a 20% tariff. So Trump was talking about imposing an across the board 20% tariffs on all imports from every country except China. For China, he was going to import. He was going to impose a 60% tariff. So, so the big question right now is a lot of people are asking is whether this will really be a good plan to generate revenue. It is true that it does generate revenue, but look at it this way. If you are a consumer and if you're going to go and buy something from a retail store, let's say you're buying some clothing or some other stuff for your household items, whatever the case may be. Today, if the companies that are importing them are paying X, they will be paying 20% to that X amount to actually get it into the country. So those companies typically are public companies. They're not going to eat that 20%. So they have to somehow charge the customers or the people who buy the product. So they're going to pass it on to the consumers. And typically these big companies, they're not going to just pass the 20%. The historical trend is that if there is a 20% tariff, then they will not just pass on that 20%, they will add more to it. Typically, it will be 25-30% increase. So let's say you are used to buying a t-shirt in Walmart or somewhere, and that cost $10 before. If there is a 20% tariff, it's not going to even cost $12. It might cost you $13. That's how it has worked. So the companies are not going to just pass the tariff amount, they will just add something to that as well. So that being the case, there are a lot of people who suggest that this will create some kind of inflation and people will be spending more if tariffs are imposed. But Donald Trump was very clear during the campaign that he was going to follow through on this. And in fact, he said he is thinking about completely eliminating the income tax and he would like to just go with a plain tariff model. And so to put things in perspective, today, the federal government gets somewhere close to around $2.5 trillion in income taxes. And they also get $1.7 trillion in Social Security and Medicare taxes. So if you want to get rid of the complete income tax, you got to generate close to $2.5 trillion using tariff. Currently, there are some tariffs that are in place. For instance, there are some tariffs that are being imposed on some particular products. For instance, there is a 100% tariff on the imported EV cars from China. That's in place today. So today, the federal government is getting somewhere close to around $81 billion, 81 billion with a B dollars on tariffs. But if you have to actually, if you really want to truly eliminate the income taxes completely, you have to impose tariffs in such a way that you can increase that $81 billion to $2.5 trillion or more. And some of the people who have looked at this, they have suggested that you have to possibly impose close to 70% tariff if you want to completely eliminate the income tax. But in my view, I don't think Trump will go to that extent of trying to eliminate completely the income tax and impose tariff instead. But he is quite clear that he is going to impose that 60% tariff on Chinese goods and 20% across the board for imports from other countries. So this is something that a lot of the economic experts have said that this will create inflation. But the big question is, he has won this election and he has the Senate and the House, and he is most likely going to impose tariff one way or the other. I do not know the exact percentage. Probably he might not impose 60% on Chinese goods. Maybe he will keep it as 20% across the board, or maybe 30-40% for Chinese goods and 20% for the other countries. But nevertheless, it looks like that he is going to impose some kind of a tariff as a way to generate revenue to pay for his tax cuts and others. So this is where I would like the Democrats, like I mentioned yesterday, to just register the protest. I know that they are not for it, but it is better for them to just register the protest, but then let the Republican Congress pass these kind of bills, because otherwise we will never even know whether this is a viable option or not. A lot of the economic experts do say that this is inflationary, but we would not know. So let them impose this 20% tariff across the board and see how it pans out in terms of the economy. And that's my take on this. Instead of just trying to prevent Trump from doing his signature plan, because he has been talking about this for so many years now, and more specifically has been talking about this during this campaign. So I think we should give him that space and allow them to pass this and look at the repercussions after a year or two. That is what my take is with respect to tariff. And I will come back to you with another episode tomorrow. Till then, take care.